Hi, I'm Michelle R. Price. You might have seen me on Spiritual Events Directory from time to time. I'm helping out Sarah with her video series, and we have a very special guest here today. This is Victoria Cochrane sitting next to me. Hello.
Hello. How are you, Michelle? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. And so we're speaking, of course, as part of our Spiritual Events Directory's Rebirth magazine. And so Victoria's going to have a beautiful article in that, and we have the video as well to complement that, and a few other exciting things we're going to talk about with you that you've got coming up.
Yeah.
So it's so exciting to have
Absolutely.
you here. Many of our viewers would have seen you on Spiritual Events Directory because you've got a show and other things. So for people who maybe haven't come across you, you want to just provide a little bit of background, some of the things you've done, and also what you're sort of doing, currently.
Okay, sure. So I live in the northwest coast, or on the northwest coast of Tasmania now, but was actually a Victorian to begin with. I grew up in Melbourne and studied to be a teacher, and went down to South Gippsland to teach, and met my husband down there. And so we were dairy farmers, and we came over to Tasmania with 2 young children, and share farmed for quite a while, about 8 years. And then I went back teaching and studied further into my practice, and taught for a long time over here. We got off the farm in about 97, and we had another child in 91, William, who's now a father and 29, so it's a long time ago. So we've been in Tasmania 32 years. And it wasn't until I went down to Hobart to teach in 2007, 2008 that I discovered the gifts that I know that I have now, that are still developing, as they do when people practice them all the time. So I have told the story many times that I could smell cigarette smoke around me, and worked out that it was my maternal grandfather, Pa, and so it took me quite a while to work that out, and I had to go to psychics myself. And then I did a spiritual development course, and along the way I learnt to be a Reiki master and an advanced theta healing practitioner. But I kept teaching until 2018, and I was kind of fitting this business into that one. So I had a whole year off last year and just started really developing the business, and then I've been doing a little bit of relief teaching this year, just so I wouldn't tell myself that I wouldn't forget how to do it. But really I don't want to. I'm just really enjoying doing this. Along the way though, I have just learned about all these gifts that I would never have thought that I used to think I reckon I could be psychic. I had no idea. And so I am a psychic channel, and that was what Pa taught me. The first thing was clairaudience, that it's like a thought that's not your own. And so I've channeled 3 books, and I write a monthly newsletter, and there are always channelings in there. So I have a channelings blog that I put regular messages from the masters up on, and a few people actually share them. And there are 2 channels in particular that actually convert them to video, computerized voice video, and share my messages. And Higher Self channel is a very big platform, and so the last channeling I did, I think he had over 8,000. I had over 8,000 views on it in one day. Wow. That blows my mind. Yeah. I get mostly likes. There's always going to be a few people that don't like it, and see, it goes to America and all over the place. So I'm really happy for people to do that. And the books that I've channeled, some people have actually released them without my knowledge or permission, but actually I really don't mind, as long as people just read the messages, because the messages are all very positive, and really just letting us know that we are one with the Creator, we are co-creators ourselves, and we've got ourselves into this mess and we can get ourselves out of it. And it's actually not really rocket science. And so the more that we spread the message that there is hope when we can see there's hope, then I think that's really important. So the channelings have been great, but I'm a clairvoyant, and I'm a really good visualizer. And I think if you can visualize your spelling word when you're writing it, you can be a good clairvoyant. And so as a healer, I can witness the healings, and now I actually read energy, and everything that's happened in your life will be stuck in your aura unless you've cleared it. And so I see it and I sit in it and I feel it, and then I can go back to a past life or to the past to clear it. And so I use my psychic clairvoyance and, you know, gifts in my healing work. And so yes, I am psychic, but predominantly I've always thought of myself as a healer, really. But I guess I try not to limit myself with labeling myself. So now I just call myself a psychic communicator, which means that I can channel spirit, I'm a medium, and I'm just that bridge between the earthly plane and the spirit world for people who don't have those gifts. So yeah, so that's me in a nutshell. But it's been a real journey, I guess, for my family who just watched these changes, and just really, it all came out of left field, really. And so it's like, who are you and what have you done with our mother, daughter, wife, you know? But the more that I stood in it and believed in it and loved it, the more they've backed me and supported me. So even if they don't understand it, most of them are really always asking me to do something or to help them. And if they don't, that's fine, you know. So
the age of 48, Victoria, I'm really interested in that, because that's when you started to really, I guess, not just smoke, but figure out what it was, and you went on your own sort of journey of discovery to figure that out. So I guess for our viewer, it's interesting that, I guess we would say, well, didn't you notice things like that before? Or was it just like you'd write it off as like coincidence? Or was there something that triggered, you know, that at the age of 48 where all of a sudden your abilities on? It's just an interesting.
It is interesting. I was really not very well from probably the age, well, after I've had William. So he was born when I was 30, and I was never a very good sleeper. So I was a bit of an insomniac, and I was a dancer, you know. And then when we got on the farm, I went back teaching, and so I was very immersed in just the physical things. There were a few things that I noticed but couldn't explain, even from the age of 16. Actually, when I was 16, I was in my bedroom, and it was about 2:00 in the morning, and the Venetian blinds were rattling flat out, and the window wasn't closed, and there was no earthquake or anything, and it was just, I had no idea. And by that stage, because I went to a girls' grammar school and was, my parents aren't overtly religious, but they are of the Anglican faith, and went to, you know, Sunday school and youth group, and was confirmed in the church and all of that. But I'd started to doubt all that. And anyway, these Venetian blinds are going off their rockers, and I'm like, I had no idea what to do. And so I just jumped into bed and prayed to God until it all went away. Related to that was after we'd had William, and I was lying in bed and woke up and looked at the clock radio, and there was this neon kind of fairy-like figure sitting on the clock radio. That's not normal. And so I had no idea, but the elementals are around me all the time. So elementals are fairies. So, you know, I don't talk about them often, because immediately you say fairies, people just think you're off with the fairies. But this was the elementals around me all the time. And since then, I've helped a lot of them to pass over or to actually reincarnate, or I've cleared the waterways and the crystals and just helped them to keep in balance, because when nature gets out of balance, everything else gets out of balance. And they actually leave me crystals to thank me. And so when I was praying to God then, because that gives permission for help, then Creator asked them to back off. But apparently even when I was younger, my sister says I was always seeing ghosts. And I don't remember that. So there were a few things, but my brother called me a science experiment once, so I was thinking, oh, well, I just am a bit weird. But I was sick a lot, you know, and I wasn't particularly well after I had my third child. I'm just not one of these people who can pop babies out and just continue going as normal. So I had a lot of thyroid issues and a lot of kind of mental health issues. And so I was stuck in that for a while. And I think I just had to go through that and clear all that and get my body kind of well again before I was ready to come in. But apparently you're a wise woman when you're 53, but I woke up 5 years earlier than that because I was ready to, so I was told.
Yeah.
The thing with all of it is, though, that we agree to do it before we're born with our soul family. We agree that we are ready to, that we've achieved a certain level of mastery, that we're ready to come in and help other people. And it's incredibly difficult to do on the earthly plane. That's why a lot of masters stay in the realms, in the ethereal kingdom, because it's so dense. It's such a dense energy down here with all the emotions and all of the ego stuff and just everything that goes on. It's very difficult to maintain that vibration where one can help other people to rise up. And so you only come in and do it once you're ready to do it. And sometimes we get to it when we've agreed, and other times perhaps it takes a bit longer. And I can't tell you what age I agreed to do it, but perhaps I did agree to do it at the age of 48. I don't know. But I'm certainly not one of these people who can just say, I've been doing it all my life. But maybe that makes me more authentic, or no, maybe that just makes me more relatable to people, because I still do the washing and clean the house. I won't show you my floors at the moment. And, you know, just stuff like that. But now I embody it. So I'm not one of I don't say I'll be spiritual tomorrow, or I'll just wait till I get my psychic hat on. It's part of who I am. And I think we need to really help people to understand that we don't need to hide it, but we don't need to force it down people's throats either. And we are who we are, and it's always there, but we've worked out a way, I'm sure you'd be the same, that we can work in the spiritual world, but always be aware of our connection, and it is just part of who we are. And Archangel Michael puts it through Rona Vizane, who is called the sacred scribe for Archangel Michael. It's like having spirit perched on your shoulder all the time. You're one and the same, and I think that's really important. Otherwise, if we don't do that, then we get dragged down in the third dimension very, very quickly, and we're no good to anybody.
No, it's a good guide. It's a good guide to have, and it's a bit of a compass, I think, because a lot of it is the intuition, the gut instinct. You know, a lot of that is what we use because it's all very intuitive, isn't it? So yeah, if you've got that sort of working, that's the same for everyone. Whether you
that's what I say.
Yeah.
Sorry. No. That's what I say to people is they say, oh, I'm not psychic, I don't have the gifts. So I say, well, do you have intuition? They'll say yes. Well, then you are psychic, because that's the beginning of our psychicness. When we trust our intuition and we trust our guidance, then we just build on that. So everybody has the ability, and I think I'm a good example of that, because the things I can do and see now are like I would never have thought I could. So
and it's all about development. And I think something we haven't talked about at this point is you're also a writer, so it's not just that work that you're doing and the shows and things like that, but also a bit of writing. So when did that begin?
I write all the time. Well, I loved writing at school. I loved writing essays, and so I've never been actually a journal writer as such, but I love to write. And so when all this started coming in, I started writing it. I was journaling the amazing things that were happening. And then I started receiving messages and decided to write them down, and they just became a book. And so it was the messages, I think, that really kept me writing and keep me writing now, is that unless we share what we're getting, you know, some people get messages all the time and they'll journal them, but they don't know if they're authentic enough or if they're shareable. But I encourage them to share them and just see people's reactions, and the way people resonate with them will be confirmation for them. And so, I just really enjoy writing. And when I was teaching, I would get up at 5 or 6 in the morning, and that's how I wrote my books. It was just kind of making the most of every day and being organised, as organised as possible. But writing is just a good way of communicating things. And so, I just...
The channeling makes it, I guess, a bit easier. Is it a bit easier because you don't have to sort of use your thinking, sort of logical mind? It's a little bit more feeling.
I think it also, because if I were just writing from me, it would just be my opinion or my belief. But because I'm actually bringing the messages through, then I'm just bringing through, I think, knowledge, and universal knowledge that's to be shared. And I know when it's not authentic, when I start questioning it or thinking it or start to change it in some way, I just stop and I just go away for a while and then I'll come back, because it has to flow through. It's, as I said, it's like a thought that's not your own. But I practice it all the time by talking to my archangel, which is Archangel Michael, although Uriel has come in a lot now and is pestering me by burning my leg quite a bit. He's got quite a lot to say. So that's awesome. So it's just like I'll be driving along and I'll think I'll go visit someone and I'll get the message, no, they're not home. Oh, okay. So it's, when it's not your own thought, and it's learning to trust that. So I practice it all the time. I don't just do it when I'm writing. So I'm always just using that psychic kind of ability to do that. But the messages are important, I think, to help other people to learn that they can be empowered to make a difference, or that you don't have to be doing amazing things or be really famous on earth to be making a difference either. So, the things that the masters talk about are really things that people can relate to and perhaps start to embody in their own lives. And then I started bringing in lots of meditations, and I started writing those. And in my spiritual wisdom hour, I usually try to take people through a meditation. And the fourth book that is coming out soon has a meditation with every chapter. And before we do talk about that, one really wonderful story was a meditation I brought through from Metatron one time, that I just channeled while we were in the hour. And a lady wrote to me later and she said, the meditation that you did actually just about cured my wet macular degeneration. And the doctors are amazed, because they were about to tell me that things were pretty dire, and now they don't have to do anything. And that just, oh my goodness, it's just one of those moments where you just feel so blessed and grateful that you have the gifts that will help people like that. So then I had to go back and listen to the live so I could write this meditation down, because I just kind of brought it through. And so when you're making a difference for people like that, it's such an honour. It really is. So that's why I do it, because it helps other people, and the money comes second. I'm a terrible charger, and I don't really, I'm not a particularly great businesswoman, as my eldest son would attest to, because it's all about just sharing the knowledge to help other people. But of course,
Could be an exchange.
One has to live. Yes, the exchange is important.
Yeah. So the fourth book, and I'm guessing that as you've grown and as you've sort of used your gifts more and developed those, the books have changed accordingly. So the fourth is going to be quite different to what we've seen from you before. Yes, it is. The first two books were just kind of they were lovely, but I'm not sure if they were
well, they just show my journey, I think.
Yeah.
The third book, someone said to me, I can really tell that your channeling has improved by reading the third book. I've just been through it and I've done lots of more editing, and I'm actually going to bring it out through Sync Media now because it just needs a bit of a freshen up. But the fourth book was actually, it came from the creator who actually just gave me this book called The Book of Life, in meditation, of course. And it's like one of those children's books that's all really 3D and you feel like you're going into the story. And I could actually go in and see the surroundings. So the second part of the book is the first part that I channeled, and it's all about how we can equate our lives to nature in the way that a river is like going with the flow. And actually I've done channelings before, which I included in the book, that the bloodstream is the river of life, and that when we've got blood disorders or something, then it is something about the will to live. And then that brings up lots of questions, you know, children with leukemia and things like that, which I would then say comes from past life. You know, that they've brought something in that needs to be cleared. That the ocean is about the ebb and flow of life and allowing things to kind of just knowing that change happens and that we need to go with the flow. Sitting in the still point of a mountain and just being a vortex of energy, and that trees are sentinels and are actually, then it's so sure of themselves, there's never any doubt as to who they are. And you know, just those things that we can learn from. And then I thought, well, wouldn't it be wonderful to have a meditation with each chapter so that people could actually embody some of these things and actually start to heal parts of their lives that they could relate to. And then Ascension is a big thing that I always write about, which is, it seems to be one of my purposes, is to send healing to the earth and to help people move from the third dimension, which is like treacle, up into a place where they can have a higher consciousness and start to see the bigger picture, and that we're all one and the same, and that love, a little bit of love goes a long way. And so the first part then is a mishmash of some of the channelings I had on my computer and some new things that came through around Ascension and how we can bring that to being in our day-to-day life. And basically in the second, third and fourth book, the masters say that the saviour of the world is love, but that the second coming is people actually loving themselves and stepping into their higher fifth dimensional consciousness.
Interesting.
So that Jesus, the Christ itself, is our higher self, and when we can actually use that to bring in the divine love and universal consciousness and knowledge, then that's the second coming. Jesus is in every single one of us. And so that's pretty special, and I think, you know, important. The third section came after I thought it was finished, and my friend Ange said, well, a publisher won't arrive until you actually finish the book. I thought, oh, I thought it was finished. But actually it talks about coronavirus and, you know, the things that are happening now, that and why that might be. And it's not really about explaining so much, it's about how we need to, the way we react either adds to the problem or helps to alleviate it. And so it really, the last part is the most important part, about embodying all the things that are talked about in the book and actually bringing them into play to cope with the situations that we find ourselves in now. And the meditations to go with that are very healing. And the thing with that all the meditations then is you can read a meditation, but it's hard to meditate and read at the same time. So I recorded all the meditations, and I purchased 3 lots of music from Enlightened Audio, and my friend Gary Martin has backed them all. And so we're just about finished with that. So the cover's done. My friend Renee, who did the covers of my first 2 books, drew the cover for the 4th book. She wasn't available for the 3rd one because she was having twins. She was a bit busy.
Good excuse.
Yeah, good excuse.
Yeah.
And so it's all coming together, and then Sync Media's come on board, and they've just been, Sarah and Kathy have been amazing, and it's all just going the way it should be. And I've also contributed to the journal that's coming out in October, meaning that Kathy is very busy, and I said to her, you need a PA. She said, I think I do. I think she needs to.
Yeah.
Kathy is a graphic artist who's the publishing part of Sync Media. So it's all really exciting, and
I'm looking at the cover here at the moment. It's really beautiful, and there's a lot of like symbology, and it's like the book, and it's like all this knowledge kind of loading that into another little being. So it's just beautiful.
Yeah. So I really hope that that this time it can get out there. The last 3 books have just kind of plodded along because I've never really known how to market them, I suppose, but now I feel that perhaps the Book of Life will launch the others as well. But a fellow rang me the other day and booked in an appointment, and he said, oh, I'm reading all of your books. And I had no idea, and then I've got someone working with me now, and her gifts are coming in, but she read my books 5 years ago. So they are out there, but until you hear of it, but they've certainly never really financially, I wasn't ever going to be banking on them. And maybe not for this one either, but as long as they really resonate with people and help to change the trajectory of people's thoughts and perceptions of ourselves as more powerful than what we perceive ourselves to be, in terms of creating heaven here on earth, I think would be really wonderful.
Yeah, so the new book is Book of Life, Lessons from Mother Earth, and Victoria, it's available for sale, I think, from November 10, so people are able to purchase that.
Yes, that's right.
You are doing a book launch as well, and we'll have details to come for that. And
yes, that's right.
After,
Yes. So I chose the date November 10th, which is the date that I turned 60. And so I think that's just nice and symbolic of perhaps good changes to come. One never wants to turn any kind of older age, but one has to. So I think that's really good. And the launch will come just after that. So, and that will be on Spiritual Events Directory, and Sarah's got some exciting ideas about that. So I'm very excited. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, and it's would you liken releasing a book to kind of giving birth to a child? Like, is it that sort of feeling, putting it out there, having another child? Or?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. It is my baby, I guess. Yeah, it is. But I guess it is. It's certainly been a labour of love, and it's not one that I've rushed through. Perhaps the others I really wanted to get out there, but this one I've really wanted, and this one I do too. Yeah. But I think by taking my time and making sure that the meditations are all recorded and that it's all right, I think it will have more oomph maybe. But yes, it's taken me at least 3 years, so it's a blooming long gestation, and it's about time to get it out there, I think.
Beautiful. We can't.
I think I'm tired.
I like the way you worded that, though. So November Life, that's when it's coming out, Victoria, and so we're really excited about that, and also seeing what else you have in store for us down the track. And also stay tuned to Spiritual Events Directory's Facebook page for when you pop up as well.
Quite often. I pop up quite often. Yeah. Once a week on Wednesdays at 12 noon. I'm not a night person, so I just, pop up at lunchtime. Yeah, which is good.
Well, thank you so much for speaking to us. And if anyone else out there would like any information on advertising options with Spiritual Events Directory, we can help you with advertising. Also, if you want to contribute an article, which is what Victoria is doing as well, to Rebirth magazine, please email rebirth@spiritualeventsdirectory.com, and or you can message the page as well, Spiritual Events Directory on Facebook. Victoria, it's been a delight. Thank you so much for sharing some of your journey with us. Thank you for channeling, these books, because they are a gift. So
thank you.
Really excited for November 10.
Me too. Thank you so much, Michelle. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Bye.